How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Plow Podcast. And today our special guest is Derek from Planta. How are you doing today?
Good, brother. Good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Derek grows amazing flower. I know Freddie from Planta. He's been on the show. He brought the 11 coffins and Coffin Candy to my attention. Those are the two hottest things, in my opinion, for 2024. I was blown away because I feel like they fit the bill with candy, but they're not like the other candies. There's something special about both of them. They're their own thing. So thank you for that one.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we worked really hard bringing them to market. I mean, you know better than anybody how pheno hunting goes, breeding, all of that. So those two were bred by Duke of Herb, aka Rusty, Duke of Doja. So we did 100 seeds of the Coffin Candy and the 11 Coffin. And this was pheno number 8.
Nice.
On the 11 coffins, we did a 400 seed Feno Hunt.
Wow.
So that was RS11 times Coffin Candy. And we selected number 178. And shout out to Freddie for smoking every single one of those.
Wow.
Right? Because I am the grower, but at the end of the day, things that go in the jar, he's in control of, right? He makes all the decisions on that, and he has the palate, right? So
when he was on our show, he proved that he could smoke. The entire time he was on here, he was chiefing hard.
Oh, my boy.
And so yes.
I
mean, you gotta love it. And so let's talk about your relationship with Freddie. How did you guys meet?
So me and Freddie met, I'd say probably 12, 13 years ago. We were both fighting, training professionally. MMA at Team Alpha Male. So very organic relationship, both trying to achieve something in the fighting world. We're both growing weed and selling weed at the same time. And so started doing a little bit of business back then, but he was also like a big influence in my fighting career. He was one of my cornermen for pretty much the last 5 professional fights I had, which we won all 5 of those.
That's awesome.
By knockout or submission on everyone. But, him helping me prepare for fights, also working on the side together. Like when you're getting ready for a professional fight, you're cutting weight, you're doing all these things, right? It's hard, it takes a lot of discipline, and like it's very mentally draining, right? But like having someone in your corner that's there that, is helping you cut weight, do all these things. So, you develop a real bond with those guys, right? So it's like, and we were working, and like he really was the one that like pushed me to brand my weed, right? Because shortly after I retired from fighting when I was like 25, moved down to LA, had a 100 lighter and was just like putting out fire packs. And he was like, bro, you need to brand these. You need to brand these. And I was like, at the time I was already white labeling for some of the biggest brands in LA, like in the world. To be honest, I was like getting top dollar for it. So I was like, no, why? Like, dude, I don't want to have to do all this. Like, like branding. I was like, I'm just going to keep white labeling for these guys. Cause like for me, it was just about, I enjoy being in the garden, and, everything was just like, I just want to grow the weed, right? I don't want to be the brand guy.
You don't want to wear all those hats.
Yeah. I don't want to wear all the hats, right? To me, growing weed is, it's hard to grow really good weed, especially at scale.
Yeah.
But for me, it just clicks with me. Like, right. Like for me, I can walk into any grow room in America and be like, that's wrong. This is wrong. Like, bro, my ears are tuned in. Oh, that dehue's misfiring. Like there's a leak in that line. Like I'm just zoned in. Right. Because I've done it for so long. So doing the branding thing, being out in the public eye, doing all of that, it didn't really catch my interest back then. But then, 2021 comes around and the market just tanks.
Like post-COVID.
Right? Post-COVID.
COVID, it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
If you weren't making money during COVID, you were doing something wrong.
The end of 21, right? Yeah. The end of 21, the market just tanks. And I was like, still serving these brands.
Yeah.
And they're still getting, top dollar. And I was like, okay, now it's time to start the brand, right? Because at the end of the day, you could have the same strain from the same facility, from the same room. This guy can sell it at, 3 times the price of the guy just white labeling it.
Right.
Because he's putting it in his bag or in his jar, right?
The same flower.
The same exact flower.
Totally.
Same exact flower. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of mine and Freddie's relationship. And we've just been, you know, we were racking up wins together fighting. And now we're racking up wins in the cannabis space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a good team. I mean, and then between your guys, it's like you got a bunch of other genetics. I mean, you brought some of the stuff today, but I've also seen your Gelato 41, which is exceptional. You got that Cleopatra.
Yep.
Well, and it's like, there's a lot of Gelato 41 in the market.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to have a better Gelato 41 where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I like it when it has a little bit of color.
Yep.
And larger buds. It yields more typically.
Yeah.
And it's got to be sticky. And that's the thing is like, I see a lot of Gelato 41 on the market. It's not sticky.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Or it's not this, or it's missing one of the boxes.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I don't know if they have a bag seed or this, but like,
yeah.
So like my Gelato 41, my Galade, my Biscotti are like the original strains.
Right.
And like we talked a little bit before the podcast, like I TC all of our genetics myself, right?
So do you have your own lab? You have a hood?
Yeah, I have a hood. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, a hood. And yeah, I have a hood. I have the whole little lab. And then I just, to be honest, use the Athena, what is that, the packets?
Yeah.
Because I was doing my own agar doing that. But once they released that and it worked, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, they really tried, or not even tried, they really simplified the tissue culture model for the average person that wants to learn about it. I don't think it's great for scale, obviously, but for doing small scale, I think it's very approachable and affordable for people to get into.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish they would have came out with that like 2 years prior to me buying a hood and all this stuff, because it would have been a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Well, and their VPD domes, we were kind of talking about that earlier. I like the VPD domes. I think they're good for tissue culture and other things. I think there's a lot of, you know, Athena's got good branding. They've got good branding and marketing, but then they have some good products to back it up, and they're super consistent. Yeah,
that I feel like anything in cannabis, like you're just looking for the consistency, right? Because you already have, all right, take out like a large facility, right? You have 12 employees, you have this, you have mechanical malfunctions every day, ACs going out. Like, to be honest, like if you've ran a large scale cultivation every day, something's breaking, right?
There's
like,
something new every day.
Something new every day.
There's a fire to put out. Yeah.
So I always tell people, like, you know, people will come to me with like, oh, adjustable spectrum lights or this or that. And I'm like, dude, I don't want any of my cultivation managers trying to adjust a spectrum because they think this or they think that, right?
56 light recipes. Let's try them out.
No, exactly. So I always tell people, like, find a product that works and just do that, right? Yeah. So, you know, like you said, they have consistency. You know, Athena's always super consistent.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most consistent brands out there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's 100%. like it or hate it, the consistency's there across the board. And, you know, and that's what makes good brands.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's flower, whether it's lighting, whether, you know, it's all about like consistency is so important when you're building a brand.
Yeah, 100%, especially a flower brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, and with where we're at right now in the country with like the recession, things like that, like that's like one of our goals as a brand is to like always have a consistent product, right? So like my main office is at the distro. So I personally QC every single batch, right? Yeah. Making sure, like, you know, it's 2 to 5 nugs. That's our SOP on that. Making sure that every single pack that goes into it is the best pack of the whole batch, right?
Right.
So I want the customer, when they smoke, they buy a jar at the store because they're spending their hard-earned money, right? To have the same experience I have when I leave my facility, you know, have a couple nugs from a premium picked batch and smoke it, right? So like consistency means a lot in this industry, and it means a lot while, like you said, developing a brand. You want to be a brand that you can trust, right?
Right.
Like look at CBX for example. They have 10 strains. They run the same ones every time. They hardly do any marketing, fucking crush it, right? Yeah. Still selling $30 eighths to the store all day. No exceptions, right? Crush it. why. They've been in the market for a long time, but also have always just been very consistent, right?
Yeah, and that's how you develop your customer base, is based on consistency. If they know they can get the same thing going in, but if it's good one time and bad the next, you're only as good as your last batch. So as long as it's consistent, you're okay. It's like I saw some of the brands early on in rec 2018 coming in the market strong. They had a lot of money behind them. They had a lot of branding, and then the flower sucked.
Yep.
Well, you buy that one time and it sucks. You're never going to buy it again. I'm never going to buy it again. I'm just
100%.
like that, you know?
100%.
And I still buy rec flour. In fact, I got some of your flour on the rec. I went to Cookies Hayward, and I went to Cookies Hayward and got your stuff. And it was the first day it dropped. I was like, super.
That.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that, brother.
Well, I was shopping there with my friend, and then I'm like, Planta, you got Planta here. It's like, it's caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
It's like Cookies Hayward, we got Planta. That's great. And then they're like, yeah, this stuff, it sells out. It sells out. It sells out right away.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, perfect. I got it right when it's fresh. And I feel like that is also so important that the product moves. If it sits on the shelf for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, they don't have, not all the places have controlled environments. And I think that's the future, is like controlled distribution, where they're keeping it refrigerated all the way till it gets to the dispensary. When it's in the dispensary, they keep it at a cool temperature so it stays as fresh as possible.
How do they display their weed too, right? Because a lot of the oxidation, all those things happen under, you know, those lights that they have in the cases, right?
Right.
So if they have all of it, like if they have everything laid out in the case, you know, and people have clear jars, then those lights are just beaming on it all day, all night, probably. So that makes the weed oxidize a lot faster, right? So,
well, I notice a lot of guys have fancy jars that are die, or fancy bags that are die cut, and you guys went with the jars that are opaque. You have the, you know, I feel like they're original. It's different. You went with that so the weed wouldn't get crushed.
Yes. So exactly. So like I said, I'm in the grow room every day. Like these plants are like my babies, right? So like I get on my trimmers crazy if they even fucking knock off one trichome or like, you know, shave a tiny bit. So
they have to hold it by the stem.
Yeah, they have to hold it by the stem, tips only. Like, you know, I have a really good trim team. I have, you know,
you use scissors, you use brush, you use finger trim. What do you guys
scissors
do?
Only.
Scissors only.
Chicamassas.
Fiskers, chicamassas. There you go. Yeah.
Chicamassas, the bent tip ones that get in there every crack. Like, you know, and every facility has its purpose, right? Like our facilities here in Oakland, that's all commercial weed, right? You know, thousands of lights, commercial weed. Our facilities in LA, that is, you know, all for the brand, right? Having the trimmers dialed in, having everyone dialed in to put the best weed in the jar, you know.
Do you control the environment that you guys trim in?
Yes.
In both places?
Yes.
60 degrees, 60%
60, 60. Yep.
Yeah, 60, 60.
So we dry 60, 60, 10 days. You know, here at the Oakland facilities, like my LA facilities, everything is DPS panels. The Oakland facilities, it was a retrofit facility, right? So they retrofitted it due to the old building. So to get it done faster, they didn't do the DPS panels. They didn't do that. It's still a great facility, right? But the swings are a lot. There's big swings because the roof isn't insulated, right? We're not, you know, you use a DPS panels, you're a building inside of a building, right? So this one, we're playing to the elements, right? So as long as we're watching the weather, like right now, you know, we're having big swings, but as long as we're watching that, adjusting our temps, humidities throughout, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, we try to shoot for 60, 60, 10 days. And that, I believe that's like the best way to cure and dry weed.
Well, and then you cure it out for a little bit longer after that. You guys burp it, or do you?
So we bucket all down into bins, and then it goes to the trimmers, and the bags get burped for, you know, I'd say probably a week. And then once the trim is done, then it just goes into production of either it's going into jars, or depending what facility it's at, it's going into the distro and then being bulked out or white labeled.
Right.
Yeah.
You ever tried Grove bags? They're Terplocks?
I have tried Grove bags. They are amazing, right? But for the Planta, if it's going into the jars, I want it in a loose bag, right? I want it to, and it just gets jarred immediately, right? On if it's going to bulk and white label, it's just like the price doesn't make sense for bulking it out, right?
No, it's expensive per bag.
Yeah, it's expensive per bag. But ideally, yes, it's an amazing product. If you are using bags, I would use Grove bags, right?
Yeah, me too. I like the Grove bags. I like I like their bin liners. They have bin liners too, where those are great. It's just a good product, I think, especially for long-term storage. I got rid of most of my jars. The only problem is getting smashed because I have a backpack. I bring my flour around. And yeah, I mean, that's the only downside is that it gets smashed.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to go into is just that, like, getting a run all the way through, getting it to the trimmers, getting it coming out perfect, and then throwing it in a bag and it getting crushed. Yeah. It's like heartbreaking.
Totally.
Yeah, because you're like your client gets it, you know, they pick this jar up, right? They see it, they're like, wow, you know, this looks really good. Especially when I do bags or when we have done it in the past, you get the clear gusset, right? So at least your client can see it on the shelf.
Not too smashed or whatever.
Well, it's hard to sell weed, especially for you're thinking these bud tenders, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
they can't let you smell it. Typically,
can't let you smell it. It's not like deli style how it used to be, which is like,
with the chopsticks. That was the best.
Dude, that was the best. But
LA, that was the best. That was the best part about going to all the dispensaries in LA is like, you get to smell it. You get the chopsticks. They break it out. You know, they're not touching it with their hands.
Yeah,
they're weighing it right in front of you. So, you know, you're not getting ripped off, all those good things.
And that would allow cannabis brands to shine more, right? Because how many times, like, especially now, right? You have so many, with legalization, with all these things happening, you have so many new smokers, right? Yeah. And they come in and they don't know what to buy, right? So they get the shiny bag or they get this, right? And then they go home and they have a bad experience, right? Are they going to come back and shop? Are they going to continue to do this? You know, are they going to continue to go down their weed journey, right? Right. So it's like you truly don't know. And having deli style was so beneficial because
the weed speaks for itself.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it just speaks for itself. It's like you don't have to sell the weed in fancy packaging. Exactly. You can sell the weed. People can make their mind up. They can look it. They can, you know, and they maybe don't taste it, but then they get home and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is what I want." Yeah. Now, if it's Purple Punch, it looks amazing, smells amazing. Yeah. Well, it smells okay. Yeah. And then you go to smoke and it's a letdown, and that there's going to be like that kind of stuff throughout the, you know, time.
Always, right, always. But you know, having a bag where they can't see the flower, like, you know, you want every sensory detail, right? You want to be able to see it. You want to be able to touch it. You want to be able to smell it. When you smoke it, you want to be able to taste it, right? Right. So it's like, if they're not able to even see it before they buy it, especially on like right now, you know, we're in a recession, like people are spending their hard-earned money. It's like, if they're spending, you know, top shelf eighth, $55, $60 pre-tax. Yeah. Then they go home and have a terrible fucking experience, or they open the bag and like, oh wow, this is not what I expected, right? Like, they're going to have a bad experience. And like, our whole goal is to make sure the smoker is having an experience that I have, right?
Well, at least what you're in control of providing.
Exactly. Yes. Very, very true. Very true. And that, you know, with the rec market, dude, it's tough. Like, these shops want a lot to help from the brand to help sell, right? As a smaller brand, like, we're, you know, it's me, couple people like in our facility, and then, you know, our distro team and everybody. So it's like, we all work really hard to make sure these experiences go well with customers, making sure that our bud tenders are, trained, but it all gets hard.
Well, and being a bud tender is tough. You know, there's so many different things. And then just because it says biscotti, it doesn't mean there's so much cut fishing that goes on within our industry, unfortunately, where people are like, oh yeah, here's RS11. Yeah. The first RS11 that came out. And that's why I was so excited with 11 Coffins, because the first RS11 was this, I think maybe 2018, 2019. And it was 2019. And it was graded. It was like the first really, truly graded, all even sized buds across the board. It had almost a pinkish tint. And when you open the bag, it was like this, it was gassy, but it was almost like smelling fresh ice cream or like sherbet. Like, like not like sunset sherbet, but like actual sherbet.
Yeah,
like you're,
for sure.
You're at an ice cream shop and it's like hits you in the face. And I was like,
you say sherbet, like actual sherbet, like, and then it had like that pink, and then it had the orange hairs, like
there was like a pinkish tint to it.
And it's like they're super golf ball, like circular buds,
super
nice little sherbet,
perfect shape.
Yeah,
you know, and they came out perfectly graded, and that was the first time I saw like perfectly graded flower. Yeah, and I was so excited about it. $4,500 a pound.
Yeah.
You know, and they were killing it. And then as they expanded, it changed, but then also other cuts got out, and people, I think a lot of people don't even know what real RS11 is. Yeah. You know, and that goes across the board with so many different genetics.
That's the hard thing when bringing a strain to market, right? Yeah. So like, even with our strains, right? So all of our strains that we pheno hunted, like they will never leave our facilities, anything. Like I could easily bring them up to the Oakland facilities and, you know, blow them out, have like, you know, a lot of weed to bring to market, right? But, you know, it's 3,000 lights, 3 different facilities, you know, total of probably like 30 or 40 workers that are going to be in those rooms. Yeah. And
anything can happen.
A lot of people will pay a lot of money for a cut, right?
$10,000, $20,000, who knows?
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit.
Exactly. So it's like, and I feel like that's what happened, right? Like,
it's what happened across the board to so many people.
Exactly. My team at the Planta facilities, at my facilities in LA, have been working with me for 8 years plus. Yeah. Every single one of them, like 2015 till now, right? So 9 years, right? Yeah. We all have a vision of what we want. Mm-hmm. And we are all invested in that, right? Like no one could pay them any amount of money to take something. So it's like, trust those guys with my life.
Well, it's like family. When you build that culture at work,
yeah, you know, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things that money just can't buy. Culture is one of those things, and you know, within the cannabis industry, but especially within the workplace, when you have people that feel like they're part of the team, that they're a contributing member, they love coming to work every day. You know,
you can't beat that, right? No, totally. And like those guys, and that's the difference, right? Work culture, right? Like you want to develop a space where people want to come to work, right? Where we're all working towards the same goal. And it's like, you know, how do you do that, right? Like as cultivators, like it's very monotonous work sometimes. Yeah. So it's like day in, day out, same thing, day in, day out, you know, looking at graphs, adjusting feeds, you know, you have a few big days, a cycle, you know, you have your repop, you have your undercut, your defol, and your chop, right? Other than that, it's monotonous data points, you know, logging data, adjusting your feeds off of that data, right? So it's like, how do you keep them incentivized and doing a better job every single time? And it kind of goes into like my slogan for like Planta, like pursuing perfection, right? Yeah. Like every single run, every single task, I try to challenge my guys, and I try to develop that like ethos at our grows. Like this round of cuts should be better than last round, right?
And it's never done, right?
No, it's never done.
The job is never done. We're always trying to improve it. And there's so many different ways you can improve it over time. I'm the same way. And I see the best facilities out there. They have that same mentality that's like, it's never perfect. And the best growers are like that too. It's never, even when it's the best batch, SF Canna. Yep. You know, it's like those guys, I feel like
those guys crush.
They crush. And but they have that same mentality that you have. It's like the job's never done. It could always be improved upon in some way, shape, or form. And if you're always striving for that, you're going to hit higher every time. Even when it's not as good, you're still going to get a good product.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I feel like that's the only way that brands or facilities are going to survive going forward, right? Yeah. Like you see grows for sale every day right now.
Every day right now.
LA, Oakland, and it's just like people get in it and they're like, oh, we can make money, we can do this. It's like, dude, the market's different. Yeah. It's unless you're producing top quality weed, you're not going to be here and efficiently, right?
Well, then you're competing with the guys who can produce it for $250 to $300 a pound. And you can't compete with those if your costs are too high, which most people are because they're not growing at that scale. Mm-hmm. You're in the same market as those guys. Now, there's no way you're going to win. It's just, it's a race to the bottom and you're going to lose.
Yeah. And it's, you know, even geographically, it's a challenge, right? Like growing in downtown LA is 10 times more expensive than growing in Adelanto.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, yeah, those guys producing for $350 a pound, $300 a pound indoor in Adelanto, paying way less in electricity, paying way less in either lease or mortgage or any of those things. Yeah, it's crazy, but getting your numbers down and making sure you're producing under $500 a pound. LA should be between like 5 to 6. Like,
yeah, I think here, 6 is like the norm. Like 6 is where, you know, if you're getting less than that, I have guys that are doing 3. You know, those guys are crushing.
Yeah,
they're double stack and they're getting 3 pounds of light.
Yep.
You know, and then it works. But even still, you can't just grow A grade product anymore. Like A grade doesn't cut it. You need A plus. You need A triple plus. You need the fire. Yeah. And then you can't just grow lemon cherry gelato either.
No, you can't. That's one thing you won't see in our jars.
Yeah.
But like I said, everything has its place, right? Like the commercial, our commercial facilities where we're pumping out a lot of work for a lot of other brands and distros, like 10 different types of candy, right?
Right.
But for a brand, I think you need to come with new genetics often and try to create a staple genetics, right? Yeah. Like you look at people like, oh, you know, look at Biscotti, look at Gelne, like look at all these, you know, connected strains like that are just like staples, lifetime staples. Before that, OG, right? Like Sour Diesel, which we were talking about earlier. It's just like
cookies.
Yes, can't forget cookies. Cannot forget cookies. Like shout out to Burner, shout out to Cookies for like really creating the branding wave for everybody.
I mean, they're the flour that backed it too. It didn't yield very well. And real cookies, I mean, a lot of people talk down on cookies because they don't know because they weren't there. But when cookies hit the market,
fire.
It's so good. And it tastes amazing and it's strong. It's a heavy smoke.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's not like Skittles, which I love Skittles, but Skittles is much lighter and more mellow daytime. And then you smoke some really good cookies and it's super sedative.
Yep.
It'll get you. And also it tastes amazing. You can still smoke it down to the roach. It has all the good qualities, checks the boxes. I think it was one of the ones that kind of developed the boxes, especially for that purple, you know, and then
for sure.
You know, the
before Skittles that was OG.
Yeah, before that was OG. There was Bubba OG.
Yeah, Bubba OG,
Master Kush,
Gorilla Glue. You go to LA, you went to LA right before that hit and you couldn't get anything but OG.
No, there was 28 different types of OG.
Yeah, same like, OG.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Josh had several different ones, Josh D, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of places.
Kenji too.
And Kenji, I mean, these guys had, you know, and there is a difference between SFV and like the original OG, and then there's the Triangle, and TK, the Diablo's a little bit different, and same thing with the Tahoe. Yeah. And they're all good in their own right. I like them all. I do like a good gassy that has pine needles.
Yeah, I love the SFV.
Yeah, like the SFV
is like super gassy.
I did a lot of breeding with it, and SFV does not breed well. It's very difficult. You cannot reverse it and expect to get pollen out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so stable, and it's just difficult to work with. But like, it's super, super, super special.
Yeah,
and the smoke is amazing, and just something about that earthy pine needle with the citrus on there. It's
do you find breeding that the more finicky the strains are to breed with, like Skittles, right?
Yeah.
So, or like you're saying the SFVOG is like, do you find like that those are harder to breed with typically? Because like growing Skittles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super finicky.
Super finicky. Pain in the ass to breed with.
Even cloning it is super finicky.
Well, a lot of these things have recessive traits.
Yep.
And so even if you do sell Skittles, right? You make S1s of Skittles.
Yeah.
It's the silliest thing when people are selling S1s of Skittles because it's recessive. And the thing is like the ones that have the structure will definitely smell and taste like Skittles. You're looking for the structure, but you're not going to find anything better than Skittles. You're not going to find anything better in there. Like in all that work, you will never find anything better than the parent.
Yep.
And a lot of the OGs have recessive characteristics. So when you breed with the OG that's really good, you have a difficult time finding something that's good. The cookies and OG craze.
Yep.
So that happened. I was on that bandwagon, right? I was all about OG times cookies because cookies didn't yield. And there was like a bunch of OGs that yielded really well.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. The platinum, that's what I work with cookies. And it gave it the gassiness, but it also brought it out. Whereas they both had it in there. So if you get two things that are recessive, you can get it to express. Right. But if it's only on one side of it, a lot of times you're not going to get it to express. And I love working with those plants and I love trying to figure stuff out. But a lot of times people are like, oh, I crossed this and this. And on paper, it sounds really good. They go to buy seeds of it.
Yep.
And then you pop the seeds and you're not finding anything that you thought was in there. And so,
I feel like everyone, like with Skittles, right? Like you said, like the cookies times OG, everyone, because it is so finicky, they're like, wow, if I could get this smell and taste, but something, cross it with, like an OG, or like even OG is pretty finicky nowadays. Like it's hard to do that, but like an apple fritter or like something, that's like super vigorous, or G41.
Yeah, G41 is a great example of something to breed exactly. with. I love as far as breeding. So I have a Skittles times G41 back to the Skittles, and we're doing some back crosses with that. But it's like you're not finding stuff. I'm finding some really interesting stuff in there.
I have a really sick Skittles back cross right now. Yeah. Very nice.
Well, and I think it's got to be different than Skittles. If people are just chasing diet Skittles, there's no point because it's not going to sell.
So I have a Skittles BX2 or Skittles BX1. It's a Skittles times Skittles times strawberry scalado. So strawberry scalado is gelato 33 times 18 coffins, which is it's OG 18 crossed
DNA.
OG 18 from DNA crossed to the coffin cut of strawberry diesel. And the ZBX2 is also bred by Duca Herb. I'm a firm believer in his seeds. I run a lot of his gear. Very good. But yeah, the ZBX2 that we're launching, we're going to call it Paradiso. Nice. So because it's
that's the name of my favorite bar.
It's
Paradiso. It's in Barcelona. It's one of the top bars in Europe and in the world. I think it's
really?
It was like the #2 bar in the world for the longest time.
You going to Spannabis this
upcoming Absolutely. Have you been?
Yeah, I went last year.
Yeah. Dude, you need to come.
So we'll go this year.
Yeah. There's a hidden back
Paradiso.
room.
We'll smoke Paradiso at Paradiso.
Absolutely. That's a must. They have a hidden back room. You gotta set it up, get reservations for it and rent it out for a certain amount of hours. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
And they let you smoke back there. Nice, they say they don't, but then you're like, money talks.
Here you go, Bubba.
Exactly. Yeah, and the bartenders there are amazing.
But
Barcelona is a great city.
No, I love it. That's actually I've been there 2 times. One for Spannabis, one time just on a vacation. But me and my wife say I could easily just live there. They know how to live there. Like that's one of the cities we travel a lot, right? So and very few places I'm like, oh, I could live here. Right.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. I could definitely live there. And they have a flourishing cannabis industry right now.
Right.
Very, very interesting out there,
Yeah. I mean, I like Amsterdam too. Amsterdam has it, but Barcelona has
more
the
relaxed
food.
with the weed though.
It's way more relaxed. It's chill.
Yeah.
But it's also colder. The weather sucks.
Yeah.
Most of the year. They have a couple good weeks of weather per year.
Yeah.
But if you like kickboxing, they got great martial arts there.
Dutch kickboxing.
I mean? Oh yeah,
bad motherfuckers come from there. For sure.
I mean they got good jiu-jitsu there. Yeah, they breed beasts. And the thing is these guys are so tall.
Yeah.
Right? And so they have long limbs, and long limbs are great for kickboxing.
Yeah, that's I did MMA and Muay Thai. So I lived in Thailand for just under a year.
You got an AKA or where did you go?
No, I went to sponsored by Tiger Muay Thai.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I was sponsored by Tiger Muay Thai. I stayed there. Lived on the camp, fought for them professionally, had 3 Muay Thai fights at Bangla Stadium and Patong Stadium. Won all 3 2 by knockout, 1 by TKO.
Amazing.
Yeah. Moved out there when I was 19 by myself.
That sounds like an awesome adventure.
It was wild. Like back then, I mean, now I look back at it, I was like, damn, that's sick I did that. But back then it was just you're young,
Yeah.
I started fighting and I was doing Muay Thai, and I was like, oh, if I want to do this, I should just, do this in Thailand. And my trainer had been to Thailand, and he was like, oh yeah. And then it's just boom, 3 months later, I'm on a plane by myself on the way to Thailand at 19 years old. Pretty wild.
Yeah, we all grew up watching Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh shit, the fucking jump up, do the splits.
Right, totally. Good stuff though. Wild. But then Thailand, and I haven't been to Thailand. I'm looking forward to going to Thailand. We're doing some Thailand trips in the very near future.
Nice.
So I have a lot of friends that spend lots of time in Thailand. I have friends that are living there now. The cannabis scene is popping. My friends from Greenhouse are there.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. They, yeah, those guys are the man. Like literally watching them back in the day on strain hunters and shit. I was like, what the fuck? This is what I want to do. I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and then going, like, even when I was in Barcelona, going to their club, right? Amazing out there.
They're like my international family. So
Dope,
all those
dope.
guys, they're great. And I've been able to hang out with them all over and they're just amazing.
Hell yeah.
And now that they're in Thailand, they're thriving over there. They're setting up new shops.
Yep.
They have a state-of-the-art facility.
Dude, that, what's crazy about Thailand is like when I was there, this is 2009, right? Yeah. When I got out there, one of the girls at the gym that worked in the office, she's like, oh yeah, let's smoke, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, let's smoke for sure. She brought me some weed, or what she thought was weed. It was weed, but it was just I was like, I'm not smoking that. It was fucking brown, sticks, stems,
rocks,
seeds, and like red
string around it.
Yeah. That's the Thai sticks.
Yeah, I've seen
they would like tie it up. But dude, I was like, I'm not smoking that. That's going to give me a fucking headache.
It will give you a headache.
Oh, for sure.
That stuff is super strong though.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I was like, I can't smoke now to see what it is now. But also, like, she was like, we have to like smoke this indoors in like my apartment because like if we get caught smoking outside, they'll fucking kill us.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, now to see what it is now, it's pretty amazing. And like, I don't know what's going on because aren't they trying to retract some of those laws right now?
Yeah, so I don't know how far they'll get with it. My friends that are over there that have their feet on the ground are like not afraid of it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going anywhere. And they might try to change some stuff around, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always in that we'll see, mindset. Especially with our industry, it's like,
bro, we're cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. It's the wild, wild west all over, And so many things throughout my life have been kind of counterintuitive. Feminized seeds I was scared of. Blurples, the LEDs, I was like, nah. Auto flowers, I was like, no, they're trash.
Yep.
And so now I'm just like, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
I have that we'll see mindset. And
you can't be married to anything, right?
No,
you can't be
and the advances that we've made are just amazing. I mean, genetics wise too, I think there's a lot of room for advancements in genetics.
Oh, for sure. I think that the market needs something new, right? Like if you're talking about like, the world as a whole right now, or at least America, right? Like it's lemon cherry gelato world, right? And
Runts and lemon cherry gelato run the
same.
Exactly.
Same, but different.
But
same.
Different. But
yeah.
Right.
When you go to Thailand, you'll hear that a lot. They're like, same, but different. Same, but different.
Right.
But definitely needing something new, right?
Yeah.
So that's like why we dedicate, you grow, you do all this. Like pheno-hunting is expensive.
You only know if you know. It's one of those things too. Most people think, oh yeah, pheno-hunting, you just grow these out and you pop them. It's like, no, first of all, you got to grow them out multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times.
You have to smoke them.
Yep.
You have to actually try them because anybody who's just growing out and they're not trying it, and they're like, that's the winner. That doesn't work like that. That's not how pheno-hunting works.
There's a lot of people out there doing that. And like, we'll see where they go, right? But the way that we do our pheno hunt, so I'll pop, we were doing 500 a month. Right now we're doing about 200 a month.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And that's very expensive.
Oh, very. Because like those are all lights that could be flowering product, right?
Totally.
To go into these jars. But we need as a culture to continue to do that, right? Like to continue to find the new thing, or else we will be smoking lemon cherry gelato forever and doing, the same thing over and over. And it's like,
well, we're not in that kind of society. We have like this short-term memory. And also it's like, we want the next best thing right away. We need instant gratification. And so
we're in America. We want it now.
We want it now. And we want it different.
Yeah.
And we want it tomorrow. We're like, that's not, I don't want what I had yesterday. I want something new.
Yeah. And the uninformed smoker with an uninformed palate is getting something new every day, but it's the same thing in a different bag.
Exact thing.
It's the same thing.
And that's the problem with Runts and lemon cherry gelato. It's like it's named all these other things, and even though some of it is different, it's not different enough. Not for me.
Exactly.
it's not even genetically different. A lot of this stuff is inbreeding, right? So where these people are like, I made this new cross, and it's like all you did was inbreed some shit because you crossed runs with lemon cherry gelato.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I see that so often, and I see, you know, this new flower or this new thing, and it's just a derivative of something else. And but that's what I love about like 11 Coffins and Coffin Candy, because when I tried them for the first time, I'm like, whoa, okay, these things are different.
They're unique.
They're unique. Yep. And they are candy, so they fit the market.
Yep.
But they're unique enough to where people are like, they have to stand back a little bit and go, whoa, where did this come from?
They both have a lot of depth too, right? So like the Coffin Candy, it's like you're getting so many different flavors.
Right.
Right. And it hits, right? Like that is probably our strongest hitting flower. Like we've had tested.
It tests really high too.
Very high. And like, we use Encore Labs. Never like the cool thing, like if you know, like recently there was like California shut down a lot of the testing labs.
A lot of them, for all the BS.
Fraudulent stuff. And it was funny because I saw a lot of brands, all of their THC percentages drop from 35% across the board to 22, right? Ours stayed the exact same place the whole time. Yeah. So it's like, it's funny. Like even I'll send it to like some of my other buddies that have brands. I'm like, damn. Like we got 39 point something THC the other day, 40% total plus. And I sent it to my buddies like, yeah, we've paid for test results too. Shut the fuck up. I was like, no, bro, this is legit. You know what I mean? Well,
there's a handful of things that do test that high.
Yeah.
But they are anomalies. There's not a lot of them, especially 40% cannabinoids. It's like, that's a rare
high
test.
High in terpenes too, like 3% plus.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, anything 3% and above is really high.
Yeah,
I've seen some 5s. I've heard of 7%, which is just mind blowing. Like people don't even understand what that means typically. But 7% is like, that's like extract. Like you're smoking extract.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We definitely try to bring something different to the market. If it's going into our jars and it's something that we pheno hunted, like we've QC'd it heavily. Yeah. Freddie has selected it, and I think he has one of the best palates in the world. Yeah. To be honest, like
when he smokes so much, he should have a good palate. The thing is like, and you don't just develop a palate by. I mean, most people aren't gifted with a palate, right? Just like fighting and everything else.
I don't
like
have
you could be a gifted fighter, but it's putting in the work. It's putting in the reps, right? At the end of the day, like
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. You have to smoke a lot of herb to develop a really good palate and to differentiate this from this from this.
Yeah, for sure.
And so many people are like, oh yeah, they go by the brands or whatever, but like really it comes down to the different flavors and the different effects.
That's why I always try to tell people, like, especially in the rec market, like trying to train bud tenders, trying to train people, it's like THC percentages, like, you guys need to start steering the clients away from that, right? Because you can give them a 95% THC distillate cart, right? Where's your high going to be? Right here. Yep. Very flat high. You get you take a 22% THC flower with 3% terpenes, like you're going to be fucking through the roof.
14% sour diesel will wipe off most of these strains that are testing in their 20s. Real good sour diesel grown in the sun. That stuff was strong. You get like the couch lock from it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that.
Yeah, for sure. Very sedative.
Very sedative. And I think a lot of people are misinformed about what cannabinoids do, and they need full spectrum. And a lot of people aren't breeding for effect. And, I've been talking about on my show how I'm really trying to go back towards breeding for effect.
Yep.
But it's also so subjective to the individual because people get different effects from different things.
That is true too, right? Because, some people love sativa. Yeah. Dude, if I have sativa, I'm probably gonna have a heart attack, right? Yeah. It's gonna, You
smoke some super silver and it's a big old joint of it.
Oh, done. Yeah. Done. But so it is hard to do that. But I think that cannabis should be marketed for their effects, right? Not so much THC percentage, right? More of the effects of how this flower makes you feel, right? Yeah. I think that would do good for the rec market, especially trying to get that going.
Well, at least standardizing some of this stuff. And I think that's great for brands if they can start standardizing, oh, these are our citrus varieties, or these are like the chocolate, or these are the candies, or these are the hazes, but I mean, if you can go with effect or at least terpenes, like terpene profiles, flavor profiles. I mean, I think that we're not putting enough emphasis on that. And that's one thing that we could do a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's one thing I'm currently working on. That's why we're popping so many seeds. I want to have a completely proprietary menu, right? So proprietary to our brand, having strains that we pheno hunted, selected, and, you know, for the rec market, I want to have, you know, 1 or 2 of each, right? I'm trying to find a OG that is the real OG, like, you know.
Oh, look no further.
Oh yeah, dude, let's do it.
Look no further. We have the real. You're ready for the real OG. We got it in tissue culture.
I want the.
I'm not
OG,
sharing it with a lot of people, but I'll share it with you.
I want the OG that when you open the bag, it burns your nose hairs, right?
Exactly.
Not the sweet OG, not the earthy. I want the gas.
Part of that is how you grow it too. Like it performs better under CMH than it does under LED. And so I think that's part of the reason, like a lot of guys are growing OG and they're not getting the results they're looking for, or growing sour diesel indoors. I think I've been disappointed with almost everybody's sour diesel except this guy Dave, who came through with the real.
You were telling me about that the other day. I gotta see this. I gotta see it.
I mean, I have it here. It's just super special.
Oh yeah. So by the way, here you have a beautiful facility, dude.
Thank you.
Super sick.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to do it right, and I feel like it's so important these days, whether it's a facility. I mean, your facility speaks for who you are. You know, I always believe in let my product do the talking. I don't need to tell people how great I am. I think that just became that's ego. And so you show people what you do. You show people how good your flower is. Your flower does the talking. Your seeds, your genetics, when they buy it, they know they're going to get good stuff. And then you don't need to market it as heavily when you can present somebody with a good product that wins every time. Yeah,
100%. Like, let the flower do the talking. Let your flower shine. And like, dude, you're gonna develop lifelong clients as long as you're putting your best foot forward in that, you know.
Well, and I feel like the guys with the good flower, everybody kind of knows each other. There's one step of separation. I mean, it's not that big of a market. That side of it is very small.
Yeah,
everybody's interconnected because not everybody needs good flower. And obviously with the California market, you look at most of the flower in the dispensaries, it's all, you know, at the max, most of it's A grade. And then there's this special class of flower that fetches a higher dollar amount where you're seeing, you know, over $3,000 pounds. Or even $100 ace. And then there's that tip of the iceberg, which is like the NorCal Nemo.
That's
the $1,800 an ounce.
Jesus Christ.
You know,
I heard,
it's so good for all of us though, right?
No,
like I love the fact that they have $1,800 ounces or whatever, 7,200 for 2 pounds, I heard. From those guys.
Post Malone?
Yeah, Post Malone.
Yeah, I know the
Yeah, I mean, I heard the story.
72,000 for 2 pounds, that's crazy. My buddy was there.
It's so good for all of us though. And so people that hate on it and they're like, dude, that's so stupid. But there's something for everybody and there's a price point for every person's budget. And it's only good for everybody when people are getting those kind of numbers, especially the cultivators.
Oh,
and
100%.
So, I mean, cultivators are getting beat up these days. Like never before.
Yeah, no, definitely there's cultivators getting beat up left and right. But the thing is, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, they need cultivators, right? They need us. Like, you can't just, but you know, it's how hard are you working? Are you going out, getting new clients, doing these things, right? Because when you don't have clients and you have, you know, 1,000 lights and you have bills coming every month and you're sitting on 5 boxes and this guy's like, well, I'll take everything for $700.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, done, just take it. Right. Then now every time he comes back, he's going to want that fucking price.
Absolutely.
Right? And he's going to say, no, I'll just go to the facility down the street or I'll go to Adelanto. I'll go here. Right. So it's like, you got to, you know, me as a cultivator and brand owner, I try to go out and network as much as possible, go to every event, do all these things, you know, because like, you know, you could have whatever size facility you have, only 10% is probably making it into your jars, right?
Right.
Like you could have a, you know, just to be honest, because a lot of things don't meet QC or this, you know what I mean? You also can't just put everything into jars and have it sitting in a distro, right? Like if you're running a brand, you need to keep the flower fresh.
Yeah.
So you have to play off the market, right?
Well, then you can cherry pick the best for your jars.
Oh, 100%.
And not a lot of people are doing that. I mean, obviously the better brands are, but there's a lot of people that just put everything, they don't grade it. They put the smalls in there. Or the one that bothers me the most is these guys with pre-rolls and the pre-rolls are just the scraps, or they're not even just the smalls. Cause I have respect for people that put smalls in. I think that's a great place for your smalls.
Exactly.
You put Skittles smalls in, it tastes just like Skittles. You can get them to burn.
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
But the guys that put shit in their pre-rolls and then
just
put them out on the market,
trim and
I don't care how cheap it is.
Nugs, whatever.
It just, and when we talk about it speaks for itself. That is you then. Like that's your representation of your brand and your name to the world.
Yeah.
And to me, that sucks. Like I would never want to be that guy. We've been R&Ding joints for about 6 months, maybe 7 months. And we're going to be doing R&D for another 6 or 7 months with our cultivation partners before we release pre-rolls out on the rec market. But it has to be perfect, in my opinion. We're not going to, unless it's absolutely perfect, you know. And the thing is like, it's got to be the perfect flower because you want the burn, you want the drip, and you want, if somebody's paying premium price, it needs to check all the boxes.
Oh, 100%. White ash, oil ring, smooth.
Smoke down to the roach, tastes amazing. I don't want to put anything in a joint that doesn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because there is stuff that's good that doesn't do that, but I would never put that in a pre-roll.
Yeah, true. That's why we've been, so currently we're only doing our jars, our 8th jars. We've been trying to, so we have a really good pre-roll, right? Yeah. I wouldn't call it pre-roll, it's hand rolls. Yeah. And we roll them, give them away at events. It's like really just like the best marketing we can have, giving them away.
Yeah, right? And it's so easy, and you know they're going to smoke it and remember your name.
Yeah, 100%. Getting hand rolls to market, cost of goods is insane though. Yeah. Right. Shout out to all the rollers though. Like that's like a whole new,
it's a tough thing, you know, and it's like, I think you got to do it in house is my philosophy now is like, so I've been working on how can we do this at scale with our cultivation partners to where I can go in and teach these guys how to do it. They grow the flower. We do it ourselves basically and put it out on the market and have a consistent quality product. And it's like, there's so many details to get something that's super consistent like that. The right grind. You know, it's like little
right
things
grind,
is the grind.
The right grinder.
Yeah.
Right. Like you use the wrong grinder, and dude, they've done a lot of tests lately. Like, like the Proper Doinks guys, they did like a bunch of tests on like grinders. 95% of them or some shit had like metal shavings in it and stuff. It's like,
I think Flour Mill definitely popped on there, but they've corrected that.
They corrected it.
So I'm a big Flour Mill fan. I have my Sweet Leaf that I've had since the beginning. I got one of the first 10 prototypes of Sweet Leaf grinders in 1997. I was gifted by my buddy Gus, and it was in 97.
You still have it?
No, I got stolen. Dude, it went through some crazy adventures, and then I had a spray ground backpack that had instead of Miller High Life, it said High Life on it, but it was that same design.
Yep.
And it was in there. Got robbed in Oakland. Fucking, they took my backpack.
Left it in the car.
Left it in the car.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
You can't leave anything in your car.
No, and that was the second time in 2 weeks. And, you know, and that grinder went through all this stuff with me, and that happened, I think, in 2019. I lost it.
Damn.
But it was one of the original grinders. Before there was no grinders. People used to use scissors and you know, a lot of times it'd be a shot glass, and you just chop it up with the shot glass, and there's some fiskers.
Yep. I used to do just the hand breakdown technique back in the day, but that's when
some stuff's too sticky.
Yeah, back in the day too, but back then everyone was like, we're smoking swishers, right? Yeah. So it's like, you don't want a fine grind when you're rolling a blunt.
Yeah, you're okay with coarse with that.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. But rolling a joint, you need super fine grind, right?
Yeah. I like medium grind because I roll big, you know, 2.5 gram joints. That's my
big dogs.
You get the best flavor.
You think?
I think if you do them thin and long with 2.5 grams, that's like anywhere from 2 to 3, you can get amazing flavor.
Yeah.
But like from R&Ding, from spending the time putting the reps in, that's my joint of choice. I feel like they burn the best. They're cool if you do them thin enough. Before I was doing these really thick ones where they get too hot. You got to do them thin enough. You want them to have, and the white ash actually, I used to think that was a joke, but the white ash actually keeps the cherry cooler. Right. Exactly. And so most people don't know that, but that's why you want that white ash, and that's why you don't want to tap your ash out. That's why
you don't ash it. Right. Some people will fucking kill you for that.
Yeah. You just ash my joint? What did you do? And you know, and then the oil ring is just kind of a sign that the joint was, it was grown correctly. There's lots of resin in it. It's not necessary for everything. I've smoked some amazing stuff that doesn't have an oil ring.
It also depends on your papers too.
It totally depends on your papers.
Yeah. Like you use some bullshit papers, like,
and how tight you roll the joint. And there's other things.
There's so many things to it. I do. Like there's people who are like, one of my buddies, who like, dude, this batch isn't burning like that. I'm like, really? Here, roll up the batch, smoke it, send him a picture, dripping all white.
Yeah.
I was like, what'd you smoke it out of? He was like, a backwood. I'm like, stop it.
There you go. There you go. That's the problem.
Yeah. Don't talk to me. You're smoking out of a backwood. Don't talk to me.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I mean, I quit smoking tobacco for the most part not a long time ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I try to avoid it. If there's nothing else around, I'll smoke some blunts or whatever, or some spliffs.
Oh, dude. So I got put on a spliffs when I was in Barcelona with Hash. I was like, fuck no.
And then you try it. You're like,
no,
whoa.
my heart and Freddie was like, dude, try it. I was like, and one of our buddies that was from Spain, he was like, no, this is how we smoke out here. I was like, all right. I was like, it's actually fucking nice.
It tastes pretty good. It's clean.
It's
smooth.
It's clean. It's smooth as fuck.
And it gives you a different kind of high too. So like you get this clear, clean high from it. Because the nicotine.
Sure. Yeah, the nicotine. Exactly.
Right. And so I do like.
I think their tobacco is different out there.
It's for sure different.
Yeah. It's not
depending on who it is and how they're rolling it. But also the hash is different. We're not seeing a lot of the Moroccan style.
That's all it was out there.
Hash. You know,
was that.
Dude, and the Tangier, a lot of people don't like Tangier here. Tangier Hash is so popular there, and it comes out so good, and it smokes so good. I like it a lot better in the hash form than I do in the flower form. Although Tangier had its day, and it was cool. It's kind of linear, right?
Yeah, for sure. It had a short, like Sacramento, like who bred that?
It was DNA. DNA was Crockett.
Crockett. They're out of Sac, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he's the Valley. He's a Valley guy, right?
Yeah,
and he was on the coast, and he was in the Valley.
Yeah. No, it's had like a short heyday period.
Well, it was the most awarded strain of all time at one point. And like all the High Times Cannabis Cups, it was like back to back.
I think
it was an Emerald Cup a bunch.
Yeah.
But it was also one of those ones that were like, if you were a judge, you knew which one was the Tangier. It was like the one that stood out. And some people, there were 3 Tangier entries because everyone's trying to win.
Yep.
And so DNA was getting up on the stage, and I saw them get up on the stage and multiple times per cup. They were crushing because people were growing their genetics.
Yeah, for sure.
And so those are my boys. They do a great job.
Yeah, no, they killed it with that. And it's like, that was like, well, I feel like that, because it was like Blue Dream was popping back then for probably a couple years before that. Then when the Tangier dropped, it was like orange terps. You know what I mean? And then
when there was like the lemon tree, so that's the good side of so there's Agent Orange, and most of that was from seed, that was from Subcool. And it was a very linear orange. It was just like, you were getting plain orange. There was no complexity to it at all. And I hated it. I was like, but then I tried it. House of Cultivar in Washington had an Agent Orange that was complex. Yeah. And it was very different than like Tangier and all these other things.
So the Agent Orange that I remember was like orangey, but chemi too, like almost chemically.
That's how the one was a House of Cultivar. That was a better one.
Yeah.
The ones that I had tried were probably from seed because they sold seeds of it. Yep. And so it was very linear. And then I got this chemi gassy kind of.
Yeah, exactly. That's Agent Orange I remember.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's good. But like Lemon Tree, I really like Lemon Tree, but there was a lot of lemon.
Finicky plant.
And there was 2 different phenos. There was like the real short pheno.
Yep.
There was super like lip smacking lemon. And that's what I like, that lip. When you grew it right, it had that lip smacking, like burn your nose a little bit on the bag when you open it.
Yeah.
And Be Real was he was repping it hard. He was talking about
him and Burner too.
Yeah.
Back in the day, for sure. They were going hard with
2017, 18-ish, and it was just popping. And then that kind of evolved. There was the Gelinade and the Melanade, and I love Melanade. Melanade is like,
I love Gelinade.
I do. So I didn't get good Gelinade till about 3 years ago, maybe.
I'm gonna bring you some good Gelinade. I got you. I'll bring you some of our Gelinade.
So the Gelinade I had before, I was like, oh, Gelinade's not that good. I like Melanade way better. Because we had a cut of the Melanade, and it was like cantaloupes, right? And the thing is like, when Skittles grown right, every once in a while it'll pop cantaloupe terps, where you open the bag and it's fresh melons.
Yep.
Dude, that Melanade used to pop those same cantaloupe smell when you smoke it all the way down. And I was like, I love this stuff. And then I got bad batches of Gelinade, and then all of a sudden someone brought me some connected Gelinade, and I was like, oh, that's really good. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It smokes good. Flavor's just amazing. Down to the roach.
It's Gelinade's like one of my favorite, favorites grow, like, cause it's just such a pretty plant too. Super resinous, like perfect bud structure. Yeah. Like when I, probably 2018 2019 when I first, or no, I think 2019 when I first got that cut, like doing monocrops, right?
Yeah.
Because back then you could do monocrop rooms where people would just buy, 40, 50, 100 at a time, right?
Totally. Going into COVID, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah. They'll take everything.
Yeah.
Right. They'll take everything. Can't do that now.
No, the prices shot up during COVID, and then people started expanding. That's the problem is people got so excited about the money that was coming in all over the US. If you were growing good flower, the prices were high and they were shooting up towards $335 even for stuff a lot for for not even the best of the best, but for really good stuff if you had something different, right?
Bro, if you had anything decent with good color, didn't even have to smoke, bro, you're getting $3,000 a pound during COVID.
Oh,
easy,
yeah. And so
day.
All these guys have stacks
ice cream
of cash
cakes for $3K. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
bro?
it's so wild now, right?
Stop.
It's like wedding cake even.
You
like,
can't even give ice cream cake away right now.
No, wedding cake, ice cream cake have had their day. And I like ice cream cake. It's in the right scenario, I like ice cream cake. I like the extract from it. I think the extract is really good. The rosin's good.
The second person I've heard say that.
It's so good.
I've never seen it or experienced it, but
I like it better than the flour. Like if you gave me some ice cream cake flour right now, I'd be like, oh, whatever. But you give me a jar of ice cream cake extract, I'd be like, yeah. And I'm not like Purple Punch is one that I won't smoke the flour. It bothers me. Right?
Yeah, no.
It bothers me that people would even still grow it.
I remember, dude. It had its heyday though.
It did. People love it. Some people still talk about it like it was great.
Yeah, people that don't know what it is.
Well, and if you grew it and you were a grower that didn't smoke, you'd be like, this thing's amazing. It smells so good on the plant. It yields like crazy. It's so frosty.
Resinous, yeah.
So resinous. But then like you go to smoke it and it's worse of a letdown than Oreos. At least Oreos has some sort of flavor. It's not my choice of flavor. Oreos is just kind of
very flat.
It's very flat. It's like we call it cardboard terps. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And then whereas Purple Punch is just missing the terps. You light it up and you might get one almost.
But it smells crazy.
It smells crazy.
Yeah.
But as you're smoking a big joint of it, there's no taste. There's no flavor. It tastes like just weed.
And that's what's so important about having someone that can select for your brand or being able to select for your brand, right?
Right.
Is that like a lot of this stuff looks amazing, smells amazing. Oreos, same thing. Looks amazing, smells amazing. You smoke it, nothing, right? Just like you're talking about. Like having a team that can grow good weed and also select good weed, right? It's very, very important right now, especially like as the country develops, as more states come online, as weed is more accessible for everybody, right? People are going to be developing palettes, right? And looking to California because California, is the melting pot for the world of weed, right?
Like, there's a big international microscope looking right at California. What are they doing next? What's the next thing popping?
Sure.
And it's the West Coast, right? But really,
it's 4 or 5 guys that they're looking at, right? There's like that are the tastemakers for the whole world, which is crazy. So having someone like that, having people to be tastemakers for your brand, for California, for everybody, really. It's super important right now, I feel like.
Totally.
Yeah, shout out Freddie Biggs, my guy.
I mean, they don't make them like they used to. Like
no, for sure. Definitely not.
I mean, and there are some kids that I'm excited about some of these younger kids getting excited about the industry, getting excited about rolling big joints.
Oh, for sure.
When I was younger, the guys with that were into rosin or before rosin, it was like BHO, but they would have $20,000 rigs and they're 19 years old living with their parents.
Yeah, for sure.
That excites me about the industry. Those guys are passionate about cannabis.
100%.
And, they're working hard to get those $20,000 pieces. They're not all, some of these kids, their parents live in like a $200,000 house and they got a $20,000 rig.
Yeah, dude, that's 10% of your equity of your home, dude. That's crazy. But yeah, no, it's super exciting for me as a brand and for us as a brand to like see people getting into it like that. Passion drives the industry. That's gonna
for sure. That's gonna drive the industry forward. That's where we can take it to the next level.
Yeah, 100%. With even all the stuff people are doing with merch now, like with all these brands, it's like getting like, dude, Backpack Boys doing like drop stuff, sells out. I think they sold like $300,000 worth of merch like when they opened their Long Beach store.
Yeah, it's
like,
just amazing.
In one day.
Yeah, they just opened up in San Francisco too. It's like they're killing it.
But like you see what that breeds, right? You see the next generation of kids coming up. Look at cookies. Like, bro, people are like, oh, you know, originally it's a weed brand, clothing brand.
Yeah.
But now it's like, bro, you can't go anywhere without seeing a cookie shirt.
5-year-old kids wearing cookie
Oh,
shirts.
yeah,
That's when I knew they were like big time. They had this in the mall, but like when you see 5-year-old kids that might not even know what cookies means.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we all know what it means, but it's because it's a lifestyle, right? Like that's a lifestyle brand. We're launching our lifestyle brand, which is Loud Times, and that's our lifestyle brand moving forward. And I'm super excited about being able to offer that to the market.
Yep.
Because I feel like that's an important component. I mean, everything circles back to genetics, but that's a great way to get your name out is by having a lifestyle brand that has clothing, whether it's t-shirts, hats, hoodies, all that stuff. It's a representation of you. And so you can't skimp on the quality. That's what other people,
for sure.
When they drop the ball, they're like, oh, I'm going to buy Gildan shirts for my lifestyle brand. You know, it's like I might do Gildan shirts for my genetic stuff where we're giving them out as freebies or, you know, people get excited about that. But like we're going to take it to the next level with Loud Times.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, no, we're trying to do working like we do sweaters, shirts, stuff like that right now, but I haven't sold a single one of those. Printed hundreds, probably thousands, just give them away. Yeah. Right. Because like I said, it's like rolling the joints, having hand rolled joints, giving them away. It's just good for marketing. Right. Yeah. But we are working on a merch line as well, which we should be dropping, but it's like you said, high quality, right? Like all custom made.
You need to do it high quality if it's like a real lifestyle brand. Otherwise, what kind of lifestyle are you representing?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And people want, you know, if they're spending like, goes back to like the economy. Like if they're spending money on it, they want it to be good, right? They don't want to throw it in the washer and dryer and then, oh, it's faded. Right. Oh, you know,
they get 5 washes out of it.
The screen printing's fading after fucking, you know, like you said, 5 washes. It's like, but you know, it all takes time and it's exciting to see other brands do it because it makes it all achievable, right? Yeah. When you see other people doing it, okay, yeah, I can have a super dope weed brand and have a super dope merch line that probably makes more than the weed, you know, like cookies for sure.
They're crushing it on the clothing. You
cookies,
know what I mean?
I think, I don't know. The numbers I've heard have been like, they do like, you know, 50 million, 60 million in clothing sales a year. Yeah. It's like, and that's not taxed by 280E. So it's like,
yeah, I know Burner's partners in cookies and those guys, they're doing great. Yeah. I mean, they're doing great. I mean, their fulfillment warehouse and they have so many products too. It's like, for sure. There's so many different products and it's amazing they've taken to that level because they made it possible for all of us to potentially go in that direction. Exactly. Yeah, no, they have a lot of dope products and a lot of innovation, right? Yeah. Like they're always doing something like duffel bags, like not even just like smell proof duffel bags. Totally. Like they have like sick backpacks, like, duffel bags, sick stuff. So. Everything. I mean, you name it, they've got it in their lineup. Yep. Which is great. And then Planta, you guys have a great logo because I feel like it's super brandable. And it's so important. You know, with our James Loud, it's like we thought long and hard where we're going to do something that reps the brand properly. And like Planta, you guys, it's that luxury brand look. It feels like LA. Yeah, when I look at it, I think Planta, okay, you guys are from LA. Yeah, 100%. Like it was born in LA. We, you know, have been growing downtown LA in the thick of it. You know, dealt with everything. Like if you talk to anyone that grows in downtown LA, all these areas, it's like we've dealt with the robberies, we've dealt with extortion, we've dealt with all these things. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like growing in LA, really like from 100 lights to building up to 500 lights in LA in the thick of it. Right? It's just like that helped mold our brand, right? Yeah. Like. Tremendously. So I really wanted the logo to speak for LA, right? So that's, kind of where we went with it. And like Planta, right? It's just like in a world of fancy Mylars and die cut bags, like we just want to have a clean cut jar and even the name, like that's what matters. The plant, right? The plant matters. The product matters. That's the only thing that's really going to sell it over a long period of time, right? I mean, we're not here for a short time. Like we're playing the long game, right? Like I don't have an exit strategy. Like I'm not. Oh, it's all going to happen so fast, but it is the long game that you got to play for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Like years fly by, right? And it's like it's crazy. Oh, for sure. Crazy how fast years fly by. But like a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to build this. We're going to sell it in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's like, dude, there's no exit strategy. Like what am I going to do after that? Like I just
want to grow this plant, continue to perfect my craft and like pursue perfection, right?
Yeah.
Like every batch should be better. Every jar should get QC'd better. Like your experience as a smoker of Planta will get better and better and better, more flavors. It's like, that's what excites me, right? Is just continuing to pursue perfection with the plant. Yeah. And like, that's what our brand speaks to.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, when so many guys are trying to use crazy die cut bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to those guys. That's a whole other lane too.
It's totally, but then so is all the terped weed, right? The terp flower. And so there's the guys that put the top shelf flower, they terp it and then put it into crazy Mylar bags. And I'm not a huge fan of the terp concept because I feel like I like breeding good flower. I mean, as a breeder, I have so much respect for guys that can do the selection.
Yeah,
right? Because that's where breeding happens. It's not making seeds. Anybody can make seeds.
Yeah.
It's that selection process that really makes one company or one person stand out from the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. And bro, if someone's smoking terped weed and hands that to me, I'm not smoking that. Don't give me that.
No.
that's not
and
my,
I think
like, bro, I try to eat healthy, like live healthy, eat clean.
Yeah.
Like,
why do you want to smoke a vape pen in the form of a joint either? You know what I mean? Because at the same time, we're talking about popcorn lung and all these other things that are potentially there that we don't know. We don't know enough about it.
Exactly. The tests aren't, the results aren't back yet, right? Like we don't know how this truly affects us, right? Like
it's really popular in some places, which is
New York. It's going crazy.
New York and Atlanta.
And you hear like
so excited about it,
dude. You hear like, but it is a new market, right? They don't have the palettes that we have in California or the understanding, I feel like, right? So it's like, and I feel like, it might be different because
they smoke them through blunts too. So like,
you smoke them through blunts.
If you're smoking a blunt and it passes through, people get excited about that. But as far as like a healthy product, is it a healthy product? It's unlikely that it's a healthy product, right?
But yeah, it doesn't taste good to me either, right? Like I like real flower, right?
I mean, I was so blown away the other day. Someone told me that it was terped flower and it didn't even taste terped. And I was kind of like,
oh, really?
It freaked me out a little bit, to be honest.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it was that good to where it was like, whoa, that, it's like throw some vanilla in there and it's in small amounts. I mean, they can do all kinds of stuff, but also most people aren't going to do that with their other people's best intentions in mind.
No. I feel like it's like a gimmick product, right?
It is.
Like
snowballs.
Yeah,
snowballs. It's like with the THCA powder. It's like that's silly.
And then it was like the THCA powder. Then a lot of them are doing like the 50-50 blends of THCA, CBD. So it's like way cheaper, right? But like there's always going to be the revolutions of it. It'll start here, it'll be good. Then as the market drops, you know what I mean? Yeah. But those products are like, they're gimmicks. They're like shooting stars, right? Mm-hmm. They shine real bright and then fizzle out, right? Totally. It's like moon rocks back in the day, right? All these things. It's like they're here for a small time and they'll
catch a little bit of, and the guy who hits it in the beginning, if you're on that,
for sure,
you're probably going to crush it, right? If you're the innovator in that,
those guys are getting like $5,000 a pound in New York and shit.
Yeah,
like
they have to keep changing the flavors. They use the same flour, from here,
for sure,
right? And it's so funny because it's white runts, right? So they're using white runts as the flour, at least to my knowledge. They probably this was a while back that I heard this, but white runts is the flour. And they had to come out with different flavors constantly, so they wouldn't get knocked off. And they had one distributor, different bags.
Yeah, that's a big thing on the like East Coast and all these new markets. It's just like the bags. It's like you come out, and then now they're getting knocked off, right?
Yeah.
Then now China's blowing out, 10 million of these bags, and now it's in every store in downtown LA, right?
Totally.
So it's like they're staying ahead of the curve. And like I said, dude, shout out to like the die cut guys. Like everyone has their own lane, right?
Right.
Like I just think that, a lot of those lanes are going to be short lived. Mm-hmm. I think the best thing to do in this market right now is put out super good flower and make sure that is the focus, right?
Well, if you're going to do die cut, have a product that backs up the
Oh, for
amazing,
sure.
the amazing die cut bag that it goes in. And
For
then
sure.
you get a lot of respect, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 100%.
those dudes are doing it right. Where you're like,
Exactly.
I'm going to spend the money on the flower, or I'm going to grow the most amazing flower. Then I'm going to put it in the most amazing Mylar die cut. I paid $3 for this friggin' bag.
Yep.
And then you get respect. I think that goes a long ways. It's the guys who are like, I can just put mediocre flower in this amazing looking bag and then try to pass it off.
That, and just making sure spend all the money on the die cut bag, have this strain for it, right?
Yeah.
And then keep that. You see guys that are like, oh, this week it's this, next week it's that, but same flower, just different bag.
Right.
That's what I can't get behind, right?
Well, I think we've been talking about consistency, right? And it all comes down to consistency. And it's like, don't put different flour in the bag. Make sure your QA, QC game is on point. 100%. It's so important across the board with everything that you do. Yeah,
for sure. For like the people that are going to be around in 5-10 years, they know that, right? And those are, that's what I'm striving to be, right? Like, we're trying to play the long game. So we try to QC everything, make sure everything's as good or better than stuff that I would smoke, right? Like I'm not going to put anything in my jar that I wouldn't personally smoke, right? Or give to my friends and family to smoke, like, that we're proud of, right?
Totally.
So, and a lot of brands are just like, oh fuck, we have so much of it, just throw it all in the bags.
Yeah.
And that's where they lose over the long run, right?
So. Well, they're just chasing that immediate money. And I mean, I think that's part of the problem in the United States with the mentality is this instant gratification. I think a lot of it stems from the internet and from the accessibility we have accessibility to anything and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Whereas you look at the mindset over in some of these Asian countries, where it's like gradual improvement, Kaizen, it's like gradual improvement every day.
Every day. Sharpen the sword every day.
Yep. We don't even have TVs up right now in our house. We just moved 6 weeks ago. We still haven't put the TVs up, which is actually a blessing. Yeah. I never would have thought.
Yeah. I took TV out of my room too. I was like, because that shit will keep you up. It'll keep you up because you'll just get locked into some show and then you're like, wow, fuck, it's 3 a.m.
Oh yeah. And now it's not like before where you had to watch it once a week. It's like you want to mainline that show and watch it back to back to back with all the episodes.
Exactly.
You can watch them all in a row. You can spend 10 hours doing it if you want to. And, so that goes back to the instant gratification. And I think we need to slowly move away from that as a society and recognize that it's a problem. And once we can, I think awareness is the biggest thing with everything anyway. Once we can be aware of where the problems stem from, we can fix them. But until then, we're going to have, the latest, greatest thing, whether it's genetics, which I think eventually it's going to stabilize, where people are like, I want 11 coffins for forever from you guys, or I want Coffin Candy forever. Those are your staple, your flagship strains. And maybe you try other stuff, but they'll have genetics from a company, and those are their genetics that people are looking for. And once we have interstate commerce, they'll be able to go to any state in the United States, hopefully, and be able to pick up a jar of Planta, 11 coffins, and it's going to be the same as if they went to another state. I mean,
exactly.
I get excited about that part of the industry.
That is one thing that I hope and look forward to, right? And it's like with interstate commerce, we're talking about federal legalization.
Yep.
And it's like, is that going to be good or bad? If we look at the government and what they've done, or at least our state governments with cannabis
and taxation,
they've kind of dropped the ball, right?
Yeah.
But, we have to assume it was probably, things don't change. They just evolve, right?
Right.
So I'm sure it's probably the same blueprint that happened with alcohol prohibition, right?
Yeah.
They bring it in, and then as it becomes more normalized, hopefully the taxation becomes less and less, and we get taxed like a normal business or a normal commodity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But until then, like, I'm not too hopeful that when they do the first rollout, when that happens, or if that happens,
they're going to do it right.
I could probably say they're not going to. Right?
No, and there's going to be problems, and these are growing pains that every industry goes through in the beginning, or almost every industry goes through.
Yeah.
Especially when you're involving something that can be taxed so heavily. And the government, they want their tax. Uncle Sam's your silent partner, and they want every step of the way, they want to tax it in California. And I can't wait for the day when I think there's politicians involved that are invested in cannabis companies, but once they recognize that, okay, these guys have to make money, But there's a huge consolidation phase that's going on right now where companies are going out of business, companies are getting absorbed.
Yep.
So Colorado already went through their consolidation. There's, I think, 3 or 4 companies that own 90% of the Colorado market.
Yeah.
And California is much different than that. But
yeah.
we're slowly but surely going through that same
way.
consolidation.
It's going that way. Like I've seen, currently right now we're building Planta headquarters in Orange County.
Nice.
So it would be a grow, distro, sales offices, just our HQ, right? And before that, I was looking to buy a grow, right, in LA. And there's new grows on the market every single day, just going out of business. And they're just getting eaten up, right? Like pennies on the dollar.
Pennies
on the dollar.
It's pretty sick in a lot of cases where I feel so bad for the person that invested that time and energy and that amount of money.
Exactly.
Right? And probably even more to fail. Even more than the money is your time, because you can't ever get that back.
Time and just like, I don't know, like the feeling of failure, like doing all of that and then having, things out of your control for the main part, right? Yeah. Like, a lot of the, like, unless you're growing top tier weed and doing it very efficiently, you're not going to survive, right? No. Because of these taxes, right? Would these grows that went under have survived if we were taxed like a normal commodity? I'd say yes, right? So it's like, yes, they definitely could have been on their game more, right? But people thought it was the green rush, right? They just think, oh, we'll do this. I'm going to hire a master grower. Red flag, bro. You ever hear someone call themselves a master grower?
It's the biggest red flag out there. It's like if it's on your if your resume is master grower, I mean, that's just that's a huge red flag.
No, 100%. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs right now in like the cannabis industry for cultivators, and the only thing we can do is really try to put out top tier flower and hold your ground, right? Like know your worth and put out good weed, and that's how you'll survive.
Well, and I think the other thing is a lot of people forget the biggest part is the distribution chain. If you want to go with 1,000 lights and you've never grown before and you have no distribution chain, you're gonna burn through your money so quick. Distribution is one of the most important components of having a business. Where do you get your product out to?
Yep.
Where are the end consumers buying your product? Are you going to do a website? You know what I mean? And like, how are you going to market yourselves? But also just that distribution network is so huge.
Yeah, for sure. And like, even as a cultivator, but also like on like my consulting side, like people, a lot of people offer me consulting gigs, trying to do this, trying to do that. And I'm like, all right, that's like one of the main things I look at, right? Yeah. Okay. Am I going to be able to collect from you? Right? Are you going to be able to sell all this product? Right? Because I could grow the best, fire and, high grams per kilowatt or high grams per square foot. Are you going to be able to sell it and you're going to be able to pay me? Yeah. Right. And that's exactly what you said. A lot of people lack that, right? Because of that green rush era where people thought, oh, we're just going to invest in cannabis. You get all these suits coming in. I'm going to have 10,000 lights. I'm going to have this, that. And it's like, all right, what do you don't even know anyone in the industry. How are you going to sell it? Yeah. Right.
Well, at a certain point, it doesn't matter how good the product is. If it's lemon cherry gelato and you have 1,000 lighter and every 3 months you're pushing out 2,000 pounds of it.
Yep.
You're going to struggle.
Oh, 100%.
It doesn't, even if it's the best lemon cherry gelato in the world, developing those relationships takes a long time.
Yep.
I have that trust but verify saying that I live by. And it's like, people always tell you whatever, but then it's like, it's easy to go around and, another thing with the industry, it's like growers, for instance, if you're hiring a grower, right? It's easy to find out who they work for. It's such a small community.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's a very small community, and the people, especially, I think you touched on this earlier, like the people that are doing it right, it's very small. Like even if I don't personally know them, I can reach out to any of these big brands and be like, hey, what's up, brother? Like, do you know this person, blah, blah, blah. And because they know I'm reputable too, they're going to reach out, hop on a phone call, tell me everything I want to know, right?
Yeah.
That I need to know. And that's one of the good things about the industry is that it is very easy, good and bad, actually, that it's very easy to get in touch with people now. Back in the day, it didn't used to be, right?
No, we didn't even use our real names.
No, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, and now it's like everybody's on social media. It's very easy. You're like, oh yeah, I used to work for this big company. I ran 4,000 lights in Colorado. Well, it's pretty easy to track that down. If it's real,
yeah, exactly.
You're going to find out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So yeah, you used to grow good flower there. Oh yeah, come work for me. It's like, they either did or they didn't. And although that is kind of subjective, a lot of people don't know what good flower is.
Very, very true. You know, a lot of people like, I've seen a lot of packs like, oh, you're fine. No, stop it.
Silly.
Stop it.
Well, yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, it's unfortunate. It's fortunate. You know, there has to be able to get the top dollar. If everybody grew just as good as you did, you wouldn't be able to fetch the price that you get.
Exactly. And also in this market, like there's a place for every grade of cannabis on the shelf, right? Yeah. Not everyone is trying to buy $100 eighth, right?
Right.
Not everybody can afford to, right? And some people want to or are just okay with all they want is to get high, right?
So they want that $100 ounce,
yeah,
or $50 ounce, and then but those people will also every once in a while want to buy a $60 eighth.
Yep, exactly. But like you said, they want the $100. Dude, I heard like a lot of the retailers I talk to, they'll be like, "Oh, dude, this is." I'm like, "Does this stuff even sell?" Like, dude, people sell like ounces of shake. They're like, "That's our #1 seller." Like,
yeah.
What?
Or the $1 or $2 joints, and it blows my mind that those are so popular.
Yeah.
But some people don't have a palate; they just don't care.
I feel like it's a budget thing, and then also most people don't have a developed palate or even know what good weed is, right? Yeah. So like they're okay with just smoking that because that's what they're used to, right?
Well, that's why Budweiser does so good. It's the same thing,
exactly. Consistency.
It's consistently shitty, sure. And people are okay because the price point is so good.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you had one piece of advice for your younger self, what would that one piece be?
Go harder, take more risks earlier on. You know, I'm older now. I, have family, all these things. It's like, it's harder to take risks now, right? Everything has to be calculated. I'm not just thinking for myself.
Right.
So my thing would just be double down on your strengths, right? Go harder, take more risks. Without risk, there's no reward, right? Yeah. So it's like, do that while you're young, you know, because you can start over at any age in life. You know, a lot of people didn't really get going until their mid 30s and then,
or mid 40s.
Like you hear the stories all the time.
And it's okay to fail, right? That's the other thing. Like it's okay to fail, but fortune favors the brave, right?
Yeah,
so like
for sure.
When I used to do really dumb shit or do stuff that I probably wouldn't do or even want to talk about on this show. Some crazy stuff. I would always say that fortune favors the brave. You got to take risks.
No, you do.
You know, even when it was stuff that I was scared of just in life.
These people go down in history and like make huge names. I was like, look at Prohibition, like the Kennedys. They made all their money from bootlegging, right? From doing illegal things, right? So, take risks. Calculated risks. Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be afraid to fail because like, dude, failure has taught me more about life than anything, right? You know, and it's like when you win, it's short-lived, When you fail, that shit sits with you, and then you dwell on it and you're like, all right, how do I not do that again, right?
Yeah.
So you really get good lessons from that. And compared to, you get a win and you start stacking wins, right? Like a lot of people reflect on their life when they're losing and not when they're winning, right? When they're winning, they're riding that wave, they're high, right? So it's also good to like reflect on that stuff too. Reflect on your wins and like, okay, how am I riding this wave, right? But like I said, just try to keep calculated risks and don't be afraid to fail. And when times are good, reflect on that time too and see, look at why you're winning, right? You're treating everyone good. You're getting good karma. You're doing these things. You're doing all the right things when no one's looking, right?
Well, because karma believes, whether you believe in karma or not.
Firm believer.
It's one of those things. It's like karma's there.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways, good and bad. When you do good stuff, when you do bad stuff.
Yep.
Everything comes full circle.
Yeah, for sure. Comes full circle. I'm a firm believer in karma. Like always try to do the things right the first time. And even when no one's around, right? That's when it really matters, right?
Absolutely.
You know, doing everything with integrity is a big thing for me. And I feel like that has helped my success a lot, right?
Integrity is so huge. And I think long-term, integrity and work ethic goes just such a long ways.
Yeah, for sure. Integrity, work ethic, discipline, right?
It all comes down to discipline, right? It's like, if you want to lose weight, you got to be disciplined. Like it doesn't just fall off. It doesn't, and it's not immediate. It's not instant. The instant gratification at a certain point, like you might, when you're young, it comes off real quick. But as you get older, you know, it's like you got to be 100%. Disciplined. And even when you don't want to go to the gym, those are the days you need to go to the gym the most.
Yep.
You know, when you don't want to do the things, that's when you should force yourself to do them more than any other time.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like people like motivation, this and that. And it's like, fuck motivation, right? Yeah. Like you're not going to be motivated to go to the gym every day, right? You're not going to be motivated to get in a fucking cold plunge every morning. You're not going to be motivated to go to work every day, right? You could put on any fucking YouTube video, all that shit, but like that shit fades, right? Like you need to be disciplined. Like fuck the motivation, be disciplined and like show up every fucking day. And that's how you really make shit happen.
Yeah, show up for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's never too late. That's the other thing people don't understand. And it's like, it's never too late. It's never too late to start.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. And like, it goes a long way. You know, it goes a long way.
Nice. So if people want to know more about Planta, where's the best place to go?
Our Instagram, Planta_CA. That is our only account. There's so many fake pages, scam pages.
It's an uphill battle.
It's like Planta._ like that's like the newest one, but there's so many fake pages. So our real page is at Planta_CA. Our website, plantacannabisco.com, which we're going to actually be launching statewide, or actually half statewide with our partner MJ Direct for the first. So it'll be San Diego to San Luis Obispo, overnight delivery. So that should be launching in about 2 weeks, and that'll be through our website, plantacannabisco.com.
Nice.
And then after a few more months, we'll be going statewide as well with direct delivery.
Direct delivery. That's the way to go these days. And I feel like, especially getting fresh product.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what excites me about the future of the industry is fresh product, because I think that's where we lack the most.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter how you grow it. If it sits on the shelf for 6 months and somebody buys it. This happened with an eighth of Backpack Boys that was actually, I paid $75 or whatever. And it had been on the shelf for way too long. Didn't realize it got home. And I've got other ones that were just amazing.
Yeah.
I still like buying rec weed just to see what's going on with stuff. What's going on with these brands. You know, Flora Flame, it's like I'm good friends with them. I get flower from Chris sometimes. But like I do like going to the dispensary to actually pick it up, see what it's like. And freshness is so key.
We just did a store takeover on Cookies Melrose this past weekend.
Nice.
But like I'm always buying competitor flower, right? Like I want to see what they have, right? So yeah, I feel like it's very important to keep your finger on the pulse as a brand owner, as a cultivator, all of these things. And, you know, I can go to any of these, my buddies that own brands, and like, they're always giving me flower.
Yeah.
But seeing it in the store, seeing what that final product is always going to be different than what your buddy who owns a brand gives to you. Right.
Yeah. Well, you're getting the fresh of the fresh. If you're getting it for like my friends, they're always giving me the freshest to the fresh. So I'm getting these bags of
primo,
picked it like the one it's not even fully cured out yet. It still has. It's like I'll smoke it now, and I'll know that in 2 weeks it's going to be even better.
Yeah,
I love
100%, 100%.
But also seeing what's on the market and seeing how stuff. I mean, also rosin is another one I like. I smoke rosin. I have I have one of these little dippers. I don't know if you've seen these, but they're electric dabbers, and I love it because I can just taste all these different samples.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like I can sit there and I don't have to take big dabs anymore.
Yeah.
Even though I do like dabs every once in a while, this is just easy and convenient.
Yeah, for sure.
Instant gratification.
There you go.
Yeah.
We want it now.
Right now. I want to try 20 different things, and I don't have time to heat that rig up.
Yeah, for sure. It's a process. I mean, dude, you see these like it's a full kit. You know, You got your rig, you got your torch, you got your fucking temp
You
regulator,
gotta have the temp
everything.
on. Yep. And that's what the Puffcos and the Eris and the Focus V and all these different, all the different brands, Dr. Dabber. But I love that where you have the control of the temp. Yep. They're digital, they're consistent.
Yeah.
It gives you a consistent hit.
It's amazing to see where that industry is going, right? Like
it's mind blowing how they got here.
Oh, for sure. Like I feel like
from curling irons.
Yeah. No, like and seeing the innovation on that end is sick too, because like you look at just the rigs that have come out and like they're getting more consistent to almost like a real dab, like from a rig, right? So I feel like that's what everyone struggled with in the past.
Right.
And now like the technology is catching up, right?
Yeah, I have an Eris somewhere over there. But yeah, that's my new favorite product because it's like not a pen. It's like, it's not a rig. It's not a pen. It's somewhere in between. And it gives me a great hit. It's temperature controlled and it's consistent. And it's not a pen. It's not a pen hit. It's like a dab hit from a rig.
Yep.
But it's digitally controlled. It's pocket size. So I can put it in my pocket. I can throw some rosin in there and I can go to a music festival or a concert and hit it. Because you can't have joints at every place.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
If I could, I would, but it's not always the case.
Yeah, no, they're pretty sure, dude. My buddy was just owner of Glob Mops. We were in Europe, and this fool was hitting dabs in the Paris airport in the bathroom. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Wow. But
those rigs make that possible, right?
Yeah.
So it was pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, different age, man. It's like, and we had it's gone through these crazy different iterations from the time we had these big, huge, it was like Hitman and Silica Glass back in the day.
Yep, exactly.
And then even before that, they were like these monster rigs that you had to have huge cases for.
Yep.
And then they had big titanium. Yeah, we were smoking on titanium for a while.
The nails. Yeah. Glowing hot
red dabs.
Hot.
That's
I feel like that's
my least favorite thing.
I really only stick to flower now because I was scarred from those. Like 2015, just red hot. The hotter, the better.
The guys are putting snakes on Instagram. They're dropping these 1 gram snakes in.
Yeah, people are like, why do people pass out from doing dabs? I'm like, yeah, bro, they were doing a 900-degree dab and fucking suffocated themselves with it. With hot smoke in their throat.
And passed out and went into convulsions.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I've seen many of that. That happened at many of sessions back in the day.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I've seen people pass out and I've seen people not be able to talk. Ed Rosenthal, I dabbed him out one time and he couldn't talk. He went comatose on me.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it BHO or what was it?
It was BHO. We were whipping butter back in the day. Okay. So it was like a wax or a butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in a Pyrex dish with BHO, open blasting.
Oh, fun.
And then you whip it with a double burner. And I thought that was so bad, I'm like, well, we're using PVC. So I'm like, there's no way this is healthy. This is gross.
Yeah.
My buddy came back a few years ago with a COA and he's like, I told you it wasn't bad. There's no residual butane. Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, zero. And I was
Jesus.
I guess that's cool. PVC, like.
Yeah.
Still not good.
Yeah.
Still not good. But, we went through learning and growing pains. And to get us to where we are today.
Yeah, 100%. And like without people open blasting and doing all that sketchy shit, getting blown up.
Blown up. I have some friends that have gotten blown up and have, they're scarred for life.
For life, yeah, for sure.
But without that, like the Holy Water crew, big shout out to Holy Water, dude. Those guys really changed the game.
For sure. Yeah.
Changed the game with the terp sauce. Making real sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's like everybody knows, the extracts and the sauces, but like they made stuff that was 30% terpenes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it tasted mind blowing too. When I first hit it, I was like, I knew from the first hit that they had figured out something that was going to revolutionize extraction.
Yeah, no, those guys are the man. We actually did a collab with them.
Nice.
For some of their pre-rolls. So we supplied the flour, they supplied the hash.
Yeah.
It was pretty dope. Yeah, those guys killed it.
Killed it. Yeah, they were killing it. Yeah. I mean,
killing it.
Yeah, sure. And it's like they changed the game completely, and I love that innovation.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, without innovation, we're going to be stagnant, right? So it's like whether it be from open blasting BHO to new tech with rosin or everything, it's just like watching how the game evolves is always, you know, good for the community, right?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's motivating to try to keep my hand on the pulse and
for sure.
to try to push it forward, whether it's with genetics. Like I have all these different angles because, you know, I'm not popping 200. You're popping more seeds than I am, and I'm a breeder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's more seeds than I'm popping right now.
But I'm not breeding it, right? So I have the easy job. I just gotta grow it, right?
Yeah, but still 200 seeds a month is wild. Most people don't really understand. Like if you put 9, because I do 9 plants per light, so I can pick, I can take a photo of each plant, right? So we're able to take a photo. I want to see, I don't top them. I want to know what the structure looks like. But that's a lot of cost that you don't see the return on for a significant amount of time.
If you do see the return, right? Like I've had many runs where there's not a single keeper, right? We're very picky. I mean, I throw away a lot of things that most people would probably keep as their keeper, right?
I'll still hold on to some of those things where everybody else is like, dude, it doesn't yield. And I'm like, well, it's just got the terps.
I mean, I don't really ever look at yield for any, like, that's like the lowest thing on the checkbox, right?
With me too.
You know, keep some stuff, like that was an option, but now when you're running so many, it's like there's limited space for storage, right? I've had keepers that my cultivation managers have lost, right? I've also seeded out, you know, because we'll run them, you know, and this is like the shit that doesn't get talked about, right? Like everyone sees like the fire strains and like the wins, right? But no one sees the losses, right? So it's like I pop them, grow them out, take cuts off each plant, run them, keep those cuts, then select from, you know, 100, 200 of whatever, however many we run of that cultivar, we select. Then I rerun them again, right? So out of 100 seeds, we'll probably pick 5, right? Freddie will pick 5, and then I'll rerun those 5, and then he'll select down, and we'll do it until, you know, if we need to run it 3 times until he selects the one.
When the genetics change from one run to the next, and as you're dialing the genetics in, they can change. That's why I don't do the seed run. I get rid of the seed. I never grow it from seed. If I'm going to make clones of it and I plan on licensing or growing those clones out, that seed start goes away. Because what's the point of growing it out if you see something you'll never get again?
Very true.
So you just save yourself 100 days, right?
It always changes. It does change a little bit.
A little bit. Sometimes the ones I think are the best, the next time they're not the best. And other ones where I'm like, no, man, there's no way that that's a good one. And then that's a good one. So you just get rid of that from seed. And do the first clonal generation. At least starting there, you're saving yourself 100 days, especially if you're going to grow it from clone in the future.
True. So then once we select it, you know, we rerun it again. And, you know, I've had where my managers mislabeled it. Then a male was in the room, seeded a whole 50 light room, right?
Seeded a whole 50 light room. Ouch.
Oh yeah. Recently. You know, like within like the last year, like to most cultivations, that's probably detrimental, right?
That might be death.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That might be it. That might be we're shutting the doors.
Exactly, right? Still have those seeds though, and I'm about to make some fucking heat.
Someone's never gonna live that down. I guarantee you.
For sure. But yeah, no, those are the growing pains of like trying to, you know, which is crazy. I see people like chucking pollen in their facilities. I'm like, I can't do it. Like right when I see.
Well, that's why you have a nursery, a breeding facility. It makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or a place where you're pheno-hunting. If there was a little bit of cross contamination, it wouldn't affect.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we have going on here. So it's like, I'm not producing any flour. We don't produce flour in the facility for sale. And we try to minimize, you know, there is pollen mitigation SOPs. So everything is done. So we're not contaminating if at all possible. We have 10 separate environments that we can create reversals in. We can leave males in. That have, you know,
no, it's a beautiful facility. Like you have it dialed in for breeding for sure. Yeah.
And that's the goal. And I think it just, as I've gotten older, I really like looked at what am I focused on and what do all the other things bring me so that they can take me back to my focus. Like we got a breeding book. I did my breeding book and that's just a resume, right? And then it, you know, it also is like, okay, all the stuff I've learned, I have it right there. So if I forget it, I can go back in my book. Right. But it's also taught me how to log data better. And we use software programs. We have an amazing software program where we can take 50 different points, over 50 points per cultivar
Nice.
We measure node spacing. We measure wet and dry weight, all that stuff.
Nice. Hell yeah. No,
So,
that's amazing. Like data is super important. Like we're, especially in cultivation, right? Like it might get monotonous, but like we take so many data points every single day, right?
Yeah.
So like people, some growers take data to try to like, I've heard of guys being like, oh, I'm going to create an AI system and I have this exact, these data points. So I know exactly how to steer it. Like, dude, this is a living thing.
Yeah.
That will never fucking work. Right.
That
will never work. In my opinion, it won't. This is a living thing. Every run, even if it's, biscotti, I run the same room, same everything 10 times in a row. Like these clones are going to come in with more vigorous roots than the last run and this and that. So like everything needs to be steered differently. Right. But taking data points, right? So like if I know in like day 10 to 21, I should be growing 2 inches vertically a day or 1.5 to 2 inches vertically a day.
Yeah.
And I have my guys taking vertical measurements every day. And at day 13, we drop from 2 inches a day to 0.5. I know, okay, now we need to look top down and start dissecting where the problem's at, right? Where most people that aren't doing that are going to get to day 21 and miss their target height by, 8 inches, which is detrimental.
Yeah. Which it affects your yield.
Yeah. It's going to affect yield. It's going to affect a lot of things. Right. And then,
your bud size, yeah. Well, then there's ways to mitigate those issues.
Yeah.
Sure. Once you have them, I mean, there's plan B.
Yeah.
So but still.
There's always plan B, but
if you can prevent it, it's the best way.
Exactly.
Preventative is always the best way. Whether it's IPM, it's properly looking at, it's like we have a closed facility, but we still have plans. We still have IPM.
Yeah, no, you have to, right? People look at IPM as like they're fixing problems, right? Like you said, everything needs to be preventative. Yeah. Like we're doing IPM 2 to 3 a week, just maintenance, no bugs, right? Yeah. Sprays two times a week and 1 drench, up until day 21.
Yeah.
That SOP keeps no bugs, but we're still spraying every week, right?
Because you'll never have bugs if you do it properly.
Right? Yep. Exactly. And then, if you do run into a problem, then you have an SOP for that, right? But a lot of people are just only using IPM or doing this to try to, when they have a problem. You're already too late. That's why we take the data, right? Like have a full data sheet, whether it be stock measurement, height measurement, bud measurement every day, EC, water content, but also, through the room is there any leaks? Like, is there anything, right? Yeah. Because these facilities are out to get you. Nothing is meant to run how we run these facilities, right? Like we're running
too many moving
ACs.
Parts.
Oh, dude, ACs are just at max capacity. DHUs are at max capacity running 24/7, right? So it's like these facilities are out to get you. So having people who are tuned in and making sure that they're like consciously going through these data points, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want guys that just come in, clock in to just do their work and then check out, right? Get their check, right? You need people who are dedicated, who have a vested interest in like growing fire weed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I take the data, right? And to show them on paper, like, when we switch this irrigation strategy and this environment strategy, you see what it does to the plant. Like instantly I can make them grow, stop, within the first like 21 days, we can control the height pretty good. So that's why we have fixed lights, People are like, oh, that's crazy. Why don't you have the up and down? It's like, if you can steer plants really well and you're on schedule and you're making sure your plants are coming in at your target height, like, you won't really have those issues, right? It takes a very dialed facility though.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel about the data and what it's good for.
I'm doing trials with them right now on seed production because I want to push over 50,000 seeds per 4x4.
Yeah,
and I feel like under canopy, horizon, we're doing both the under canopy with the Favens.
Yep.
We're going to do the horizon light lift, bring the PPFD way up.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to use both and see, okay, side by side, what kind of results are we getting?
Yep.
Are we pushing those boundaries? Because that's the beauty of this facility too. We can R&D everything. We can trial this A versus B, and we can do that 1 million times over to really empower our customers at the end of the day for getting better results.
With every piece of equipment, there's a good practice for it, right?
Yeah.
As far as like commercial and doing, seed production, amazing, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to get the light, control it as much as possible, right? Especially with seeds too, because like, it's not going to grow like a clone, right? Or
no. And then seed production, it's like most people have white seeds on the bottom because there's not enough penetration.
Okay.
And so the Favens, I think, are going to be a game changer. We don't know yet, but my educated guess is that we are going to get more seeds. We're going to get better quality seeds.
Oh, yeah.
And so even in the seed game, it's different than the flower, but it's all about having the best quality product.
Yep.
And the better, more even seeds you have, the more money you can get for your seeds, the easier it is to sell them. It's just like good flower.
Yeah, for sure. And like with increased like PPFD lighting, under canopy, all that, like it's all very linear, right? Like more light has always equaled more weight, right? Yeah. So I would assume that transfers over into seed production as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no. I have 2 benches at the Oakland facility right now that we're trialing some under canopies.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I think it could definitely be beneficial. I mean, I've yet to see the results like in person. Everyone says they're amazing, right? But I'm a very show me person.
Right.
Right. We do a lot with a little, right? Like really good irrigation strategy and environment strategy and, proper defolies and all that, like will produce a lot of weed.
Yeah.
High quality weed.
Well, like Faven or under canopies, I think if you have the electricity, not everybody has the electricity for them. If you have the power, I think they're a great investment. And not just the yield, because you will get better yield, but also the color. Like if you're running LEDs and you want more color, you're gonna have more color on the bottom than you want on the top now.
Exactly.
And so I see it as a benefit even from that. It's like regardless of yield. Yield is great, but let's look for a better product.
Quality. Yeah. And that's like, I feel like a lot of people have gotten away from that, right? Yeah. It's like when all these big facilities came on, you have all these people just like, how many pounds of light can you grow? This, and this. And it's like, there's definitely a tipping point of like getting high yields and quality, right?
Right.
So, you can blast 1500 PPFD and push 4.5 EC at the dripper and get crazy yields.
Yeah.
But that flat, yeah, like not even larf, like fucking big
monster.
Dense, yeah.
But can you sell big monster buds too?
Exactly.
Especially if they're purple on the outside and green on the inside.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say is that like it's a point of diminishing returns, right?
100%.
So I feel like, pushing it properly. I know Connected was running under canopies for a long time. I think the Faven guys actually
came from
there,
they came from Connected.
But they were running like the purple spectrums that Connected, like the blurples, right? And I always wonder because like in my opinion, plants only uptake light from the top of the lights, right?
That's what I used to think.
No, I mean, so here's my thought. So if you remember, like back in the day, Connected also had like a bunch of like when they were using those, I like some of their like the biscotti seed. I wondered if that was from, they took care of the problem for sure and started, but I was wondering if that was from the under canopies, and that's why I was hesitant to use them, right? Is because I would think, sometimes, and it might work on 85% of the plants, but that one finicky plant, right? Yeah. That finicky strain, which biscotti is very finicky, like does not like light.
Yeah.
Like if you give it too much PPFD in the early flower, you're getting super foxtailed buds. Like it just does not like light like that. So it's like, I always wondered, like, does that stress the plant? Right. So I'm excited to see where like our trials with them go.
Yeah. And then dialing in over time, if you see good results, I mean,
Yeah, for sure. It's ever evolving, right? Which is cool.
The whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing is ever evolving from every angle.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to see too that like all of the under canopies being made right now are from real cultivators too, right?
Yeah, the innovation is coming from real guys.
Yeah, from real guys, because it's like you used to see like these.
Everybody's doing it though. We got everybody jumping on board.
Oh, for sure. But a lot of the big guys, Faven. I know Craft Farmer
has them. Mango's doing
Mango
it.
has them. All like real farmers though. Like I can get behind that, right? Like I think that's good for the industry, right?
For sure.
But yeah, like back in the day, you'd see like these people will come out with ACs. Oh, this AC does this, this, and this. And it's like, they're not. Anytime I've had like grow equipment made by someone that wasn't a grower, like some AC company that tries to design something, it's always the fucking worst. It's always the worst shit ever. Overcomplicated. They had, no one can work on it yet. Right. They don't have enough service techs.
Plenty of stuff. I get a lot of products all the time for people that want me to show their product on the show or get them on. So I've seen everything, anything and everything as far as different things in the industry, from irrigation systems, irrigation methods to new forms of trimmers, new forms of everything. Some of them are amazing. A lot of them are just like, whoa, like you trying to reinvent something that doesn't need to be reinvented.
Exactly.
And it happens a lot. I think that happens in every industry though. When you're looking for innovation, it will happen, but a lot of the stuff is just going to be derivatives that aren't good. And then you get somebody who's popping it.
Yep.
Genetics wise too. Like there's,
100%.
Look at all that lemon cherry gelato.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
All from a bag seed.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Let's do the skin sometime. We'll get a tour of the facility. We'll do a farm tour. I'd love to videotape it and share it with everybody.
Yeah, our Oakland facility is about 20 minutes away. So easy game. Awesome. Let's do it.
Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below.